I don't know what he said. I didn't see
He
the
said
interview.
that she turned black. He questioned whether she was really black. I don't think that's that hard to say. That's out of bounds. Can you say that?
I mean, Kamala's.
You had it right. You almost got it.
I will say Kamala's name any way that I want to.
But when you disrespect Kamala Harris by saying you will call her whatever you want, I know you don't intend it to be that way. That's the history and legacy of white disregard for the humanity of black people.
Oh, so now you're calling me racist.
I didn't say. I just said you weren't a racist.
That is complete.
No, you don't have to intend racism
No.
Wildly unprincipled, attention-seeking MAGA Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace of South Carolina was, for some reason, invited onto a CNN panel to discuss the 2024 election. And it quickly became probably the worst CNN panel I've ever seen due to her bad faith and dishonesty, and we have to talk about it. But before we do, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have several clips to talk about in this video. As a reminder, Nancy Mace is a Republican Congresswoman from South Carolina. She very often pitches herself as a moderate, somebody who represents a swing district. Therefore, she has to moderate her views on reproductive rights is a great example. She even makes reference to it in this panel. But the reporting about Mace and just observable characteristics shows that she is perhaps one of the least principled members of the Republican Congress. Not one of the craziest, right? She's not Jim Jordan. She's not Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's not Lauren Boebert, but she's just so slimy and unprincipled. And the reporting, also from like even comments made by her own colleagues or former colleagues, like former Republican Speaker Kevin McCarthy also indicate that. So you are dealing with a wildly unprincipled person whose only interest is in getting attention. Okay, so with that in mind, let's play some of these clips because this panel is atrocious.
I certainly take that, but I'm wondering.
And a lot of rich history comes out of my district in South Carolina that I'm deeply proud of.
With respect.
Trump injecting Vice President Harris's race and then suggesting that she's not actually black. Why is he doing that? Should he stop?
Well, I mean,
yes or no?
I didn't hear him say it. I didn't hear what he said about her race. I am not going to weigh in on her race. As a woman,
He did say it.
Okay, well, as a woman, I want to weigh in.
She turned black, he said. He said she was raised Indian. Now she was Indian, all he knew. Now she turned black.
She's a mixed race, right? She's a mixed race.
He said that to the National Association of Black Journalists.
Right.
He went to, and he said at the same event where he said he'd done more for black people than any president in history.
I guess here's the thing.
When he was president, wages for women were better than they've been in a long time. Wages for blacks were better than they've been in a long time.
Lowest black unemployment rate in history. It happened under Joe Biden.
He did a lot of good.
Let me just finish this
For
to both of you.
from all walks of the country.
This doesn't take that much courage, honestly, to just say that was out of bounds.
I don't know what he said. I didn't see
He
the
said
interview.
that she turned black. He questioned whether she was really black. I don't think that's that hard to say. That's out of bounds. Can you say that?
I mean, I didn't say it, and I would not say it.
Yes. Just say yes.
All right.
So it just goes to show how, again, wildly unprincipled and attention-seeking Nancy Mace is. This idea that she had no idea of Donald Trump's recent comments about the vice president. They're everywhere. Even Fox has talked about them, right? So this idea that it's only just one half of the country. CNN, MSNBC, Newsmax, Fox, they've all talked about it. Republicans in droves have come out because they think it's going to cost Trump the election, this sort of rhetoric. So this idea that Nancy Mace, who is many things, but not stupid, has not heard these comments is absolutely categorically ridiculous. And even CNN reporter Abby Phillip is like, listen, somebody who's supposed to be this impartial moderator, which, by the way, CNN's definition of impartiality is ridiculous because they create false equivalences and give Republicans unnecessary charity and benefit of the doubt. But even she's like, listen, let's just be fair. It doesn't take a lot of courage just to say, hey, this really weird racist remark is really weird and racist and out of bounds. And you see in real time, Nancy Mace is like, she's just like, she's visibly dissembling because she can't bear to criticize Donald Trump. Another clip.
Kamala's.
You had it right. You almost got it.
I will say Kamala's name any way that I want to.
No, but you mispronounced her and you also misjudged her.
I just did, and I'll do it again.
Mispronouncing her name.
So rather than refer to her as the vice president or Vice President Harris, she is intentionally, did you catch that? Intentionally butchering her name, addressing her by her first name, which is disrespectful to address the second highest ranking person in government, but whatever. MAGA does it. And by the way, Democrats should do the same. Never refer to him as President Trump. Never do that, right? because again, they demand, if you look at the Republican Party's public statements, even though Trump is a former president, they're always like President Trump, President Trump, President Trump, Biden, Joe Biden, whatever. No. Joe Biden is the sitting president, and Kamala Harris is the sitting vice president. They are actually in office. If we're going to have the respective titles, it would go to them, not former presidents like Trump and Pence and whomever else. But whatever, play their game. She deliberately went out of her way to mispronounce the vice president's name. She said it correctly. She actually said it correctly first and then had to correct herself out of pettiness and spite to further the Republican line against the vice president. That's why she's being called out for it. Pretty despicable stuff. Another clip.
Michael.
That sounds like self-hatred and justification of white supremacy. And let me just say this, because this Congresswoman is a wonderful human being, but when you disrespect Kamala Harris by saying you will call her whatever you want, I know you don't intend it to be that way. That's the history and legacy of white disregard for the humanity of black people.
Oh, so now you're calling me racist.
I didn't say. I just said you weren't a
BS.
racist.
That is complete.
No, you don't have to intend racism to accomplish
You are
it.
intending that
Your
I am
disrespect
racist,
of Kamala
and
Harris
that is
part and
offensive
parcel of a
and
tradition
wrong.
of disrespect.
And so again, you see the pearl clutching. How dare you call me a racist simply because I deliberately went out of my way to mispronounce a black woman's name, the vice president of the United States, who, by the way, is, as we speak, the subject of racist attacks by my cult leader, Donald Trump, by the leader of the Republican Party, by the Republican Party writ large. Well, lady, you don't deserve the benefit of the doubt. As a matter of fact, Professor Dyson, I think, should have just called you a racist, especially knowing that it would trigger you. That's the thing. Nancy Mace is one of those Republicans who demands charity and to be handled with kid gloves rhetorically, but never does it with others. So you better pronounce her name correctly, even though she's going to, mispronounce deliberately the name of the vice president, somebody who's more important than she is, somebody who's more powerful, and somebody who, of greater consequence than she is. But you better treat her with respect. Now, to hell with that. I think, if anything, the CNN co-panelists just pulled their punches unnecessarily. Absolutely ridiculous. Another clip.
No, he's
Wait.
Wait.
I just think this whole conversation is hilarious because Project 2025, first of all, it is the Republican Party. It represents.
That's not true. That is not true.
It
Absolutely
comes from
not.
You're going to tell me what my party believes?
Let me just say this. It was created by Republican Party operatives, including former Trump administration officials. And what's so funny about this whole conversation to me is that
That's just not
Democrats
true.
have been so successful in branding this.
Because they got nothing else to run on.
It's so
Your record is
successful
fine.
that every
It's
Republican
not
is now
true.
afraid of their own policies because their policies are toxic.
Great stuff. Yes, this is what I'm saying. Bring the fire more. When they say, no, we don't own Project 2025, yes, you do. Don't take anything they say at face value and say, no, you're wrong, I'm right. I'll continue to assert this, and I've got the evidence. So no, I don't take you seriously, and I'm just going to run roughshod over you. As a matter of fact, the same day that this panel happened, earlier in the day, there was hidden camera footage released of a conversation with a top Project 2025 architect, someone who literally helped write the book on it, and somebody who also used to work in the Trump administration, Russ Vought, who he was the director of the Office of Management and Budget under the Trump administration. They knew each other. And he said in that leaked footage, 9 minutes of it at least, that Trump had regularly interfaced with Project 2025, that he gave the work his blessings, that he was well aware of the work, and that his attempts to distance himself from Project 2025 was, quote, graduate level politics. It was just a way to distance himself from a brand that had been successfully, shaped as toxic. It was just dishonesty. So the same day that Nancy Mace is like, that's not our playbook, we have hidden camera footage confirming that it is your playbook. So again, take none of it at face value. Don't say, well, it's he said, she said. No, the facts are on our side. You have no facts on your side. It is your project, and we'll continue to crush you in the debate about it. Keep the energy on. Great stuff. Another clip.
2025.
How many times do we have to
and you're
say
going to
it?
tell me that's my party platform. My Republican Party platform was rolled out by Donald Trump a few weeks ago.
I understand what the official,
women.
quote unquote official platform is, but the reality is that the people who created this platform are the people who were working in the
The reality is that you have nothing to run on, you have no policy, and you have to lie
The
about
reality is
ours.
that you're afraid of your own
I'm not
policies
afraid of my
because you
policies.
know it's
It's not my
unpopular.
policy.
It's a lie.
Eliminating the Department of
Keith and
Education
Mark,
is an
give me 1
unpopular thing to
second here
do.
because I want to
It's
give
a lie.
Gretchen.
What you just said is
Trump
not true.
just
What you
said
is 100%
Trump wants to do the exact same thing.
Trump did say he wants to abolish the Department of Education. He said it in his conversation with Elon Musk. He's been very public about it. He's also supportive and affirmative of others in the Republican Party who have said they want to get rid of the Department of Education. And again, this is what's important. Do you hear Nancy Mace in that cacophony? She's like, you lie. Well, number one, no, we didn't. But number two, let's not talk about lies when you represent a pathological liar par excellence. Donald Trump has lied infinitely more than any other politician. For every one lie you can cite of Joe Biden, others can cite 5 to 10 lies from Donald Trump. He is objectively worse in all ways, which means you have no credibility, which means none of us should take you seriously. Again, folks, this is important. MAGA Republicans like Nancy Mace and their surrogates in the media don't deserve the benefit of the doubt. If they want to complain and clutch their pearls about lies, you just should insist before we address any sort of purported dishonesty of the Democratic Party. Maybe you're right, maybe you're not. Democrats have lied in the past. Democrats are capable of lying. That we're not perfect. But before we address any of that, I want you to acknowledge and disavow and ruthlessly mock Donald Trump's peerless dishonesty, because he's just lied far more than any Democrat, perhaps all Democrats combined. And until you do that, I'm just going to keep bringing it back to Donald Trump to show that my party's better than yours. And that's exactly the sort of attitude, as far as I'm concerned, that people should be bringing to the table. Another clip.
2025.
How many times do we have to
And you're
say
gonna
it?
tell me
Actually, that was the same clip. One more clip right here.
But what's stupid is allowing people, criminals, to go into stores in California and not being able to arrest them unless it's $900 or $950 and more.
The problem
and
is
you
that that's
see
not actually
videos-
what's true.
And you see
That's not
videos
actually
of
what the
people
law is.
going into
So again, she's being fact checked in real time. Folks, this is, again, probably the worst CNN panel in terms of style and substance and good faith that I've ever seen, because there was a total absence of good faith. MAGA Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace is just a profoundly dishonest person. Again, she pitches herself as a moderate. She pitches herself as a reasonable, rational Republican, and she's very good at it. Again, she's not stupid. This woman is very smart, particularly with respect to media manipulation. I know it doesn't seem like it here, but she's good at basically being whoever she wants to be, depending on the target audience. She's also very quick to clutch her pearls and, basically accuse others of victimizing her. How dare you, George Stephanopoulos, because she went viral, which is what she wanted a few months ago, for an on-air spat with ABC host George Stephanopoulos, who called her out on her hypocrisy. Nancy Mace was the victim of sexual assault, which is tragic. It's terrible. And George Stephanopoulos' point is, how can you, as a victim of sexual assault and somebody who has made it one of her life's mission to call that out and to lead a crusade against it, then endorse Donald Trump so enthusiastically, given that he was found by a jury to be liable for sexual abuse and defamation. And the presiding judge in that case clarified, by sexual abuse, the jury meant rape. Donald Trump raped E. Jean Carroll. So what George Stephanopoulos is saying is it's profoundly damaging to the cause. And one would think that you would have a personal interest in distancing yourself from somebody like Donald Trump and endorsing someone who wasn't a rapist. That's a perfectly fair question to ask. It's a perfectly fair thing to, insist that she address. But instead, she threw a fit. How dare you? How dare you try to hold me to my principles? How dare you insist that there be consistency between what I say my life's mission is and what I do for the sake of political expedience? I mean, it's the same sort of thing. And she's doing a smaller version of it here, which is, how dare you call me a racist? Well, you support a racist. You support a racist movement. You engage in racist tactics by deliberately mispronouncing the vice president's name, which is part of a greater tapestry of racist attacks. Again, it's not like you did it by accident. You said it correctly and then went out of your way because you knew it's what Trump wants. And for the sake of political expedience, you'll do whatever Trump wants to align with his tactics. And he didn't even call you a racist. He could have and perhaps should have, but didn't. And you're clutching your pearls. Meanwhile, no charity from her to others and so much dishonesty. Like Abby Phillips said, it doesn't take a lot of courage to say that you really shouldn't attack the vice president's race. And again, just like a fish out of water gaping, she can't do it because, of course, the problem that CNN reporters and CNN as an institution don't recognize yet is that there is no courage in the Republican Party. None. The courageous ones like Adam Kinzinger, Liz Cheney, and even to some extent Mike Pence have been driven out of the party and driven to the fringe because the Republican Party doesn't reward dissent and courage when it comes to Donald Trump. It is an authoritarian cult of personality, which is why, getting all the way back to Nancy Mace has in the past criticized Donald Trump, even publicly, when she thought he was weaker. But once his strength and his control over the GOP remained firm, she walked back everything she said and bent the knee because she's an unprincipled coward who deserves nothing but your contempt. Let me know what you think in the comments.